Hey everyone, welcome to the That's Allowed podcast. I'm your hostess, Dr. Adrienne McKeon, and today we have Joe and Julia Langton. Please introduce yourselves.
I'll go first because I know you'll go more in depth. I'm Julia Langton. I'm COO of Automated Outdoor. And I don't know. I know you take it away more, so
Okay.
You'll go more into depth.
So Julia and I, we're a father-daughter combination that has the privilege of working together on a daily basis. And I like to think that we both elevate each other equally. She lets me see things from a younger female perspective. I see things from a middle-aged businessman perspective. I think I add an element of being able to kind of go and kind of take over a room, but she adds the element of kind of keeping that in check right now. I think that's kind of how we work well together. We have a podcast that we do together called the Automating Success Show that is one of my greatest joys every week to do with her. I think it's a great learning experience for her to talk to some of the CEOs and thought leaders that we talk to. We are running a robotic automation business where we help other people in the industry learn about automation and implement it. And then we also run Langton Group Landscaping. So
Awesome.
that was a mouthful, I know, but that's us.
See, I knew he would take it for me. There you go.
Yeah. So I actually help support the podcast that you guys do. And so I have the privilege of getting to listen to the footage before anybody else does. And so I just want everyone out there to go and take a listen to one of their episodes because it's about so much more than just, automated outdoor equipment. It's really they have a wonderful kind of banter between the two of them, a great kind of relationship. And also it's just about leadership and success and all kinds of different what's the word I'm looking for themes here that are really just wonderful. So check it out.
It's success stories. I think it's about interviewing people that have or are achieving their dream and their best life. And I think like how you said it, you're right. It's not only about outdoor automation. It's we have writers on the show and authors, just all sorts of different people just doing what they love every day. And it's meant to inspire people to pick your passion and run with it.
So what do you think when you say automating success? Why do you think it's important to automate success?
Well, I think you could almost say it's more like replicate success, right?
Sure.
So, to us, we wanted to say automate because we're using automatic lawnmowers. But the reality of it is, I think if you look at the majority of successful people, they've figured out a way to replicate or duplicate themselves as easily as possible. So
Sure. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and ask the fated question and see what happens. So what story is the world not getting?
So I think the story that they probably wouldn't get is what turned me into the person I am today. Okay. So I'm a 6'4", 275-pound, well-spoken man, and people probably look at me and think that I've always been this way. But there was a period in my life when I look back on it in high school, where I was not that person. I actually, looking back on my childhood, we were somebody, I went from being in a school and having friends up until about third grade, and my mom and dad, we moved into a new house. We went from the Schaumburg area to the Elgin area in Illinois. And my experience in grade school was not quite the same when I went to the new school as it was in the old one. Unfortunately, I gained weight very quickly as a younger kid once we did that transition. And there were some pretty lonely times as the kid on the playground getting bullied, getting called fat, and it was kind of rough. And then the thing was, I kind of hit a day where I grew into myself and realized I didn't have to take that anymore and started to fight back. And, kind of went through that evolution. And then I hit high school, started playing football, and everybody wanted to be around the really big guy, as I would say, the man amongst boys, 240-pound sophomore in high school, but what's always been funny to me is when I talk to my friends that I still know from high school now, and a lot of them have actually worked for us at some point in time. Some days I'm surprised that I wasn't always the captain of the football team, or I'll be surprised that sometimes my coaches didn't believe more in my leadership. And one of the things that my friends have always said was, they're like, Joe, you were not this in high school, but in my memory, I feel like I've always been this person. And I suppose the story that's never told is I was not always this person. It probably took me almost till I was 30 to truly realize I see things differently than other people. I don't have to stay in their lane or their way of seeing things. And what do I have to lose? I'm just going to be myself. It took a divorce for me to realize that, I suppose, looking back on it in life also. And yeah, so I guess that's the story for me. That is something that maybe people, when they're watching our podcast or whatever, don't realize that I had to take, there was a lot of, I don't want to say pain, but a lot of not great times that turned me into the person I think that I am today.
You said so many interesting things in there. So let's see if I can parse some of this. So what I love is, so first of all, I can completely relate. I went through this awkward phase where I was chubby and nobody wanted to be around me. And especially in junior high school, I think I was I was just very me.
Mm-hmm.
I had a really big personality, and that didn't always go over well. And so I was very open about certain things. Like, I liked boys and I liked girls, and I let everybody know that. And so back in like the early 90s, that was not something that you talked about, right? And so what I found is that once I started being open about these things, other people started coming to me and telling me all their secrets. And I suddenly became sort of like the Dr. Ruth of the school, where everybody's coming to me and talking to me about their weird problems. But what I loved about that is that I found my niche. And it's funny how, in one context, the big guy it's like awkward and embarrassing. And in another context, the big guy is the guy that you want to be around.
Mm-hmm.
And so in different contexts, what we think of as a weakness suddenly becomes a strength.
Yeah.
And so I
No,
wanted to point out too that one thing you said is that you don't think about that anymore. It's like, I feel like I've always been this person. Well, the funny thing is, when you change a belief, you can actually change your past. Do you see what I mean? It's like we
yeah.
have these stories, and but how we view them changes depending on where we're standing, what our perspective is now. So you could have seen that as like, oh, I was bullied as a child and I was a victim. Or you can see it as, I went through this phase that taught me humility and then made me into the person that I am now.
Yeah, totally. Well, and something that I think I need to expand on is, when you hear me tell it from one perspective, um, it seems like I was the victim, but I'm sure, and it's something that I always am like, when I'm seeing things like on Facebook or Twitter, now with all social media, I find myself getting defensive sometimes because people will assume the big person is the bully.
Right.
And I have to say, it's something that bothers me to the core,
Yeah.
because the big person's only seen as the bully because when they finally decide they're not going to take it anymore, they inflict harm at a greater rate than the person typically bullying. And it was the next thing I had to overcome. It's like, what I found was, as I was that big guy that all the guys wanted to hang around with, all the girls were like, almost like, what's wrong with that guy? But they didn't understand it was me just making sure those guys that used to bully me in 7th and 8th grade don't ever do it again, I think that it's funny. It's not funny. It's actually kind of sad when you look at it, how you kind of sometimes have to build yourself up, and then you have to almost keep yourself shelled off until you reach that point of security where you realize you don't have to fight anymore. Like you don't have to protect like yourself anymore, and you can just open up and allow people to actually know you.
Yeah. Well, and I think the psychological aspects of bullying are really under noted, if that
Yeah.
makes sense. I think that, the physical aspect of like, oh, well, I was afraid for my physical security. People understand that, but most bullying happens up here.
Yes.
And
Totally.
and Julia, you know this, girls can be just as mean.
Yeah.
Just as mean.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, and the thing about guys, usually when you're mad at each other, it's like for 3 minutes. I mean, think
Yeah.
about the majority of fights last about 3 minutes. You both exhaust yourselves, and then you're like, man, that was really dumb. Let's go play kickball. That's the one difference with boys than girls.
Well, I think guys too, it's a lot of physical arguments, maybe not physical, but they're very upfront. With girls, it's very passive aggressive mind games, which I think is a little bit
Mhm.
worse.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, guys are definitely the chest pounders, want to look really big. Half the time we don't want to do anything. We're just trying to set our position of dominance. I think there's definitely more of an intellectual level with girls. So,
Yeah.
but
Uh,
anyways,
Yeah, I'm actually writing a book right now on emotional abuse. And so one of the things that I talk about is how emotional abuse leaves all these scars that nobody sees. And so in some ways, it's much, much more dangerous over a long period of time to
mhm,
be exposed to emotional abuse than physical abuse. Because when you get hit, it's like, well, that sucked, but then, you recover. And it's very clear that like, somebody hit me and that sucked, but like, that's not my fault.
yeah,
Whereas with emotional abuse, you internalize it and you think, well, I must be causing this. This must be me that's doing this. And I think that's a lot of how bullying scars us as a kid, is that
yeah.
we take this shame
Hmm.
on top of the bullying.
No, that's a great point.
Yeah.
Maybe a good book.
Well, I'm working on it. So when would you say, so it sounds like the tide kind of turned for you at a point where you kind of grew into yourself and started doing football. Does that sound
Yeah,
right?
yeah, and even football for me was kind of rough because I look back. Um, I some of the main people I still talk to in my life are all people I played football with. I mean, I have to say, when it comes to sports, those are just bonds that are made in stone. I mean, there's just that's just the way that it is. I'm a big advocate and believer in sports. I think that people should definitely do it. I think it's one of the reasons I'm successful today is because of what I took from any sport I played. But I had a coach that was pretty hard on me also, and it took me a long time. Speaking of the story that's never told, it took me a long time to grow up and realize that even though I was really mad at the coach, I just realized he wasn't a good communicator. So, to break that story down a little bit, um, we had a game that we lost pretty bad, and the coach really took it out on me. I had walking pneumonia at the time. I had a doctor's note to prove it. Um, he took me out, never really let me start again that year. Um, None of my teammates understood why. And in my sports awards night, really embarrassed the hell out of me by saying that, Joe's a guy we moved up sophomore year to varsity, expected big things out of him, but has never turned his boy fat into some real man muscle. And what really, really upset me, and anybody that knows and lifted with me, is, I was bench pressing 320 pounds as a junior in high school. Okay, there was no boy fat left to change to man muscle. But he said this in front of an auditorium of parents.
Wow.
And, it's another thing that's like always stuck with me, right? But talking about learning from it, now that I'm a leader,
Mm-hmm.
his form of poor leadership is, in my opinion, what makes me a better leader. Okay. What he should have actually told me, looking back on it, was we didn't come from money. Like, I am literally a self-made person. My mom and dad were very hardworking. My mom used to work at Jewel in the deli. My dad was a union laborer. They both ended up working for the city. So it's not like somebody gave me a bunch of money and said, go and start a business, right? But what his issue was, in order for me to have a vehicle back then, my mom and dad said, you have to have a job if you want a car. So I would work out in my study hall for weightlifting and then go to work, still able to lift 320 pounds. But what he wanted was my leadership in the building, lifting with the team after school. Now, it's taken me many years, I'm 41, to realize he's just a bad communicator. What he should have just said to me was, hey, Joe, you're a strong kid. This comes easy to you. I need you to be here to show the people that it doesn't come easy to, that you're dedicated and committed to the team. Instead, he took it out and just said really mean things in front of other people, thinking it was going to motivate me. But I'm not somebody that's motivated by anger. I'm someone that's motivated by communication. Okay. So if somebody needs something out of me, I want them to just tell me, hey, Joe, I really need you to do this for me because I need you on my side. Then I'll give you everything I have. But when somebody just tries to get me angry to do it, well, now my defense mechanism, which is probably something that got built in 8th grade, is I fight my way out of it.
Yeah.
So now it's like, no. You don't yell at me. I'm the 280 pound, 6'4" guy. Absolutely not. Right. So looking back on it, now I'm mature enough to understand myself now and catch myself in the moment. Okay. And I think even my own daughter, probably just like I see her grow right next to me and mature, she probably sees it in me, just in dealing with people every day. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm really off on a tangent here. I told you I was just going to roll with it.
I love it. I love it. No, I just want to point out something so cool that you just did naturally, which is an exercise that I actually walk people through all the time, which is, so you had this traumatic experience, right? Now, I want you to insert yourself into that as an adult and intervene on your child self's behalf. And you just did that. You just kind of went back and said, if I had the capacity now, I would explain to him like, hey, anger doesn't work for me. What works for me is communication. Just tell me what's going on, coach. And then this is what he would have said.
Yeah.
So that's beautiful that you just did that naturally. That's awesome. Yeah. So what do you think has blocked you from sharing this more often?
Because it's sometimes it's really not a part of my life that I want to remember. Right.
Sure.
It's one of those things that you kind of ball up in your stomach and you throw it down there and let it stay there. And, I always tell people, I didn't play college football. I didn't do any of that. And some days I say that I regretted it. And then I catch myself in saying it, because had I played college football, my favorite part of my life that's sitting right next to me wouldn't be sitting here. So, because my whole life would have changed, and I might not be sitting on this podcast with you right now because my entire life would have changed.
Right.
But going back to what you said, I kind of do naturally, I also always used to say I didn't play college football because, my coach was an asshole and I didn't want to play because of him. And then also because I met her mom in high school and I got married. But at the end of the day, if I have to be honest with myself, I really didn't play college football because I just didn't think I was good enough, even though I had schools looking for me and sending me scholarships and or offers to have scholarships. I always figured out an excuse not to do it because honestly, he got in my head and made me believe I just wasn't good enough. And man, if I could go back and talk to myself, I would know better. I would know that that is just something that was in my head. But the good news is where I am in my life now, I don't let anybody tell me I'm not good enough. So, it's like I mean, she's smiling because she knows. I mean,
He's
it,
not lying.
it
That's
doesn't
true.
make a difference. If somebody tells me, I mean, right now, I tell people that her and I, if we don't do $4 billion in business in the industry we're in the next decade, her and I did something wrong. And I tell people that, and they're like, wait, 4 million? And I'm like, no, 4 billion. I will not allow somebody to tell me that's not achievable. We are going to achieve it. I started setting goals like that for myself. I said I was going to be a millionaire by the time I was 35. Unfortunately, it took me till I was 37. But at the end of the day, I had the goal, right?
It's pretty
And now,
close.
and now I tell her all the time, I want to, by the time I'm 60, to say that I have a business that's achieved $1 billion income status, and it's a goal. But that's the one thing is now I won't allow anybody to tell me it can't be done. I will sit here at this desk and just constantly think about what it's going to take to make it happen. So I suppose I used to think my coach was a jerk, but the version of me now should thank him, because it's probably a lot to do with why I'm the person I am. So
That's really insightful.
That's
It's really
deep.
insightful.
well,
It is, it's deep. Well, what I love about that so much is you're recognizing that, it was you that figured all this out. Your coach didn't teach you that stuff by being mean, right? You
Yeah.
had to go through the work to figure all of that out by yourself. I often say, to people who are telling me these kind of traumatic, horrible stories that, you did develop superpowers from that pain, but it wasn't the pain that actually gave you the superpowers. You already had those superpowers. You just didn't know until you needed them. And it was that pain that kind of set off the need where you went, okay, now I'm going to look in here for my superpowers. Oh, here's one. Here's one. Everybody has them in there. And so you don't have to go through these horrible traumatic experiences to find those things and to know that you don't need to, listen to other people who naysay. You don't need to listen to the haters.
Yeah. Well, and even as I hear you say that, like there are people that go through, I mean, truly horrible experiences, right? I mean, the whole playground scenario, that was pretty horrible. I mean, looking back on it,
Yeah.
and thank God for my sister Vicky, because my sister was actually who got me through that time in my life. But when it comes to the football thing, there's way worse that people deal with, right? So like for me, I just look back on it, and maybe it's why I don't talk about it that much, is because if those are some of the worst things that I'm going to deal with, uh, who am I to complain? Because there's people dealing with way more than that.
Of
So
course, but the thing is you can't really compare, tragedies. You can't compare trauma because the worst thing that happened to you is still the worst thing that happened to you. It's like I always say to I have this 9-year-old girl she's so funny. I love her so much. But my daughter says the goofiest things to me sometimes. But I have to take it seriously of like this, okay, so this is the worst thing that has ever happened to you. Okay. Like at your age of 9, like this is the worst thing that has ever happened to you, and take that seriously,
so
and
when
it
you
may
look
seem
at it from
ridiculous to us, but it's like, all right.
when you look at it from that perspective, that makes sense, because all the things I'm bringing up were just things that happened when I was a kid. So
Yeah. So we all have our cross to bear, right? But the bottom line is that everyone experiences the same emotions when we go through this stuff, no matter what it is that happened. The actual content is kind of irrelevant at the end of the day. And that's why, I love doing this podcast, because when I have these people on and they tell these different stories, it's like everyone's story is completely unique. And yet they're all relatable. We can all relate to that story of that mean thing that your football coach said in a public space, because we've all had somebody throw us under the bus,
mhm.
and we can all relate to being bullied on the playground. Not necessarily specifically that, but we can all relate to people being mean to us, for what seems like no reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
So how do you think that changed you?
Well, I mean, I think I like I said, it just made me realize like never again, right?
Yeah.
So, you know, it's, you know, it'll be funny. I think it'll always be funny for me when I'm 60 to look back at when I'm 40, you know, and I'm sitting here saying never again. I'm sure this is what's nice about a podcast like this. I'll be able to look back on it, and I'm sure something will come up where somebody puts some sort of doubt in me. And I think I'm this big, tough, hard, callous guy that I'll be like, man, why did I ever listen to that? You know, but yeah, I mean, you know, how it changed me was just to go with my gut, you know, more. I mean, it's like, uh, I'm a true believer in gut instinct now. And when I talk to somebody, if like if I just don't feel right about the conversation, probably means that person's probably not talking to me for our best interest, but
Mm-hmm.
probably their best interest. Um, you know, and I guess it's also made me realize that you can't go back. I think that's the biggest thing. That's if it's changed me for anything, it's this. I suppose I can't. I know now, even though I think if I could go back and talk to the 16 or 18-year-old version of myself, I would give myself some advice, but I can't. You know, Julia. It's almost a perfect time for me to share this story. Is Julia didn't want to go on and play college volleyball. Okay, couldn't understand it. Okay, because to me, not playing college football was something I like low key regretted. I mean,
Yeah.
I guess that's the thing. It's like I almost feel guilty to say I regretted it because I know I would not have her. So it's like, but at the end of the day, take that aside. I just wish I would have known if I could have made it or not. Right?
Yeah.
If I would have started in the college level. But so when she didn't want to play, I couldn't believe it, and I called my dad. Who, by the way, I have such a good relationship. I mean, she knows I talk to my dad every day. If I don't call him by 8 o'clock, he's calling me at 8:10. Like that's
I
just what it
love
is.
it. I love
But
it.
I called my dad. I said, Dad, it's taken me 18, well, more than 18 years. It took me, you know, a long time to realize. But how did you let me not play college football? And he said, what do you mean? And I said, Julia doesn't want to play college volleyball. Like she has opportunities. She doesn't want to do it. How and why did you even let me say no? And he said, Joe, you're going to let her say no the same way I let you say no. Because I can tell you as your father, has it made a difference? You have a successful business. You're a great man. You still talk to me as your father. You talk to your mother every day. You have a fiance that you're with. You have stepkids that you have. So does it make a difference? And that was the thing. I said, Dad, you're right. It doesn't make a difference. She's got to pick her own path. So I mean, I guess that's the thing for me too. You know, it's like I can't change the past, but I can make sure I don't do anything in the present that I'm going to wish I could change. That's what it is. I don't want to do anything now that I wish I could go back and tell myself different later. I just want to do it how I feel it now, because even if I fail, I won't regret not doing it.
That's such an important
I'm just
distinction.
smiling. That's it.
She was smiling like I was maybe over talking.
No, it's kind of crazy because you can tell he's figuring this out just as he talks. I don't know.
That's what we do here.
Yeah.
We come up with insights, right? I
Yeah.
love it. I love it. And I think you've hit on something so important there, which is that when we regret things, it's usually not something we did. It's something we didn't do or that
Yep.
we were too scared to try, you know?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
if you know, I always say everything you want is on the other side of your fear. So if you know there's something that you're scared of, that's the thing that you should go straight toward it, because that tells you you care about it. If it scares you, you care. So just go headlong at that thing, whatever it is.
Good advice.
So who do you think needs to hear this story?
Any person that doubts whether they can do something.
Yeah.
I think people always say, like sometimes people are like, man, I can't keep up with you, or they'll be like, do you even sleep at night or whatever? And the thing that I'm always like amazed with is I don't really think I'm anything special. I mean, I truly don't. I tell people all the time, like, I'm not any different than you are. I'm not any different than Julia is. The only difference is I just do it. I just do it. So the people that need to hear it are the people that question if they're good enough to do it. Because if you're questioning it, stop questioning and do what you're passionate about. If you're doing something that you have zero passion for and you're just working through it just because it's something to do, you're wasting your life. Find something that you're passionate about, do it, and you'll never feel like you work another day in your life. And chances are the success will come right along with it.
Completely agree. It's beautiful. So, what would you say? I think you've just said this, but the next question is, what's the main message or takeaway? So, can we like put that into a nice little box for everybody to take home and a nice little package with a bow on top of it?
Wrap it up nice, Dad.
I know. I'm so just in the moment in this podcast.
I love it.
I'm trying to think back to what I actually just said.
All right, well then let me take a crack at it. Okay.
Yep.
So I think what we're really saying here is that you can achieve anything, literally anything, as long as you're willing to face down your fear and deal with some discomfort. Just do it.
Just do it, and do it all in. I mean, don't just don't put a toe in. I mean, that's the one thing. I'll tell you something that I do when I'll wake up sometimes. Some of my best ideas come while I'm dreaming. Okay, I dream about half the ideas we have. I've dreamt them. Okay,
Yeah, his dreams are crazy.
Really crazy
I love
dreams.
it.
But I actually will like take my phone. I'll wake up from a dream, and I'll do a voice memo, and then I wake up the next day. And some of my voice memos, I'm like, wow, that was some craziness. Like because it doesn't pertain to anything. I can't believe I got up and did it. And then there's other days where I wake up and I just start writing it down and we do it. Okay. But the point is, do it full in. And when I mean do it full in, if a thought comes to you in your sleep, make sure you capture the thought. Because if you don't, chances are you'll forget it tomorrow. And it's gone. That's it. The moment has come and it's gone. And then the other thing I'll say is, pay attention to where the universe is taking you, because looking back, also another reason with college football that I never did it was I wanted to be a meteorologist, by the way. I still love meteorology. She hates it.
He talks to me about clouds all the time.
Yeah,
I would just be driving through. What is that? I don't know.
The Weather Channel will be playing in the background at my house on a constant loop.
Yeah.
And people will be like, "How many times are you going to watch the Weather Channel?" I'm like, "Well, the radar updates every 10 minutes." I mean, I don't know. But anyways, back to the universe though. So all the offers that I was getting to play football were all to go to school for business. And I was always like, I want to be a meteorologist. I need like Penn State or Northern. I need some of these schools that offer meteorology to give me a scholarship. Now, looking back on what I just said 20 minutes ago, that was kind of an excuse too, right? Like, if a meteorology school asked me, I'll go to college. But going back, the universe has basically told me all along I was going to be a businessman.
Mm-hmm.
So that's another thing too. If all the signs are pointing you towards a direction, stop going against the flow. So
Absolutely. I really want to re-emphasize how important it is to go all in. As a creation coach, I see this all the time. People come to me and they say, "Hey, so I've got this side hustle and it's just not taking off." Maybe that's because it's your side hustle and you still think of it that way and you still talk about it that way. If you think of it as a hobby, if you think of it as a side hustle, then you are not all in on it. Now, I'm not saying that you can just jump in head first and not have something to support you while you're building up something. But at the same time, you really have to be all in on the idea of all of this is just in the interest of making this happen. And you really have to make that bargain with the universe, like you said. And like you said, Once you decide that, once you go all in, it's amazing how doors start to open up. Now, they may not be the doors that you were looking for. They may not be the doors that you were expecting, but doors will start to open up. Absolutely. I see it all the time. Synchronicities, boom, 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 boom. As soon as you decide, this is what I want. So I think this is a perfect segue to my little exercise. And I'm going to have Julia do this.
I'm nervous. I don't know.
Well, it's probably the hand thing like this. I don't know if everybody could see it, but it was like, oh, there's something good coming. But anyways, yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm messing with you, Julia. It's actually really simple. So what I'm going to do is just have you close your eyes if that's comfortable for you.
Okay.
Because I find that when you close your eyes, you can really visualize much more easily. And so what I'm going to do, I have this little magic wand, okay? And when I wave my magic wand, all of your deepest desires will come true at once. And so you will be in your ideal, perfect world. And so I want you to then, you're going to sort of wake up in your ideal, perfect world and just look around and tell me exactly what you see, what you can hear, taste, touch, smell in this space. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and wave.
Or like,
what's that?
Are my eyes still closed at this point? I'm in.
Yeah,
my eyes are closed, but I'm waking up.
But you're waking up in your ideal world and just telling me what you see. Because if you have your eyes open, I find what the temptation is to stay in the possible, like in the probable. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're looking around, you're seeing what already is, and that's influencing you. I want you to really go into what could be, what might be.
So Dad, you should know the first thing that I see. This is a test. What's the first thing that I just saw when I shut my eyes? You should know it.
GT3 RS.
It is. It's Miami blue Porsche.
So describe it for us. What does it look like?
Well, it's a Miami blue. It's black rims. It's sitting right in the driveway of my house. It's a nice house, pretty modern. Surprisingly, there's a lot of snow around. That's a surprise. I don't really like snow that much since I work in it. There is a waterfall to the side. I have a dog. It's a golden retriever. Also surprising. Maybe it's a golden doodle because I do want that. So it could be that too. That's about it. I'm just a nice house, kind of in the middle of the woods, which is also surprising. But not too in the middle because I feel I would get murdered there, which is something I'm weird about also. But that's what I see.
Okay, so what can you hear in this space?
The waterfall.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So you hear just that nice little babble of the waterfall.
Yeah,
okay.
I do. Maybe I get that from my dad. He always likes the water.
There you go. So just ground yourself in that sound for a second.
Okay.
Just hear that. And just feel that calming feeling that comes over you when you hear that and you know that's my home. I live here. This is all mine. I earned all of this.
Yeah, that would be nice. That'd be awesome. It's gonna take a lot of money though, so we gotta keep pushing, Dad.
So then what else in this space, what in this life, in this perfect, ideal situation is bringing you meaning? What do you wake up in the morning? What do you look forward to doing every day that's just going to like make an impact?
Well, I like to work. I don't know. So probably just work. I don't know.
What is it about the work though that feels really meaningful to you?
For me, it's fun. Probably since I work with family, since I'm alongside my dad, that's probably a lot of it as well.
Absolutely. So I want you to see, you're going to have a little meeting with your dad. Okay. And I want you to see that you've come up with an idea. Okay. This just came to you. You woke up and it just boom, right in your head. And you share it with him and he's really impressed. And you can see this look on his face where he's like, wow, I had never thought of that. That's amazing. And I just want you to feel for a moment what that feels like.
Feels good.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Is there anything in this space that you can smell?
In the space, are we still in my house? Like he came to my house to have the meeting?
Yeah, let's say he came to you.
That's where I was. You came to me for the meeting.
That's right. Because your house, you got the nicest house now. So he's coming to you.
I don't know. There's a candle that I have in the house, which is the candle I have in my room. So it smells like that. Smells nice. It's pleasant.
Can
I
you
don't know.
describe it for us a little bit more? Like what
The
is the
candle is
smell?
mahogany teak wood. That's what it's
Oh, nice.
nice. It's fresh.
Nice.
He would
Absolutely.
probably hate it. No,
I
it's
like teakwood.
peaceful. It's just I don't know. It's quiet. It's peaceful. I mean, that's not anything to do with the smell, but I don't know. It's just in the environment that I'm in. That's
Yeah.
where I'm.
So what in the inside your house? So you're in your sort of living room here. Is it cozy? Is there a fireplace? Are there a lot of throw pillows, or is it more of an open, airy space? Like what is it like in there?
It's open. There's a nice big screen TV. There is a
Mhm.
fireplace. Lots of candles. I like it to smell nice. It's like a nice gray couch, cozy with some blankets. I like blankets. Yeah, so it's pretty open. It's modern. Yeah. Oh,
Beautiful.
nice.
So I want you to think back just in your memory from this space. What had to happen for you to be able to afford this house?
A lot of hard work. A lot.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So, what were the routines that you set up? What were the rituals, the daily things that you had to do to make sure that this happened for you?
I mean, I feel like everything that I do now, just not giving up on anything that we're already doing. To me,
Beautiful.
just to keep going. I don't know what I'm imagining. I think is all doable at the rate that we're going. So just everything
Absolutely.
that we already have right now and just blowing it up.
So, then I'm going to challenge you a little bit. I'm going
Okay.
to ask you to add something in here that just seems insane. Like everything you're looking at right now seems very possible to you, and that's great. And I completely agree that it is. If you just keep doing what you're doing and keeping those habits and routines in place, you'll get all that stuff. But add something in there that you never expected. Just something amazing and wonderful that you never would have expected. What do you see?
So I mean, the first thing that came to my mind is something I really wouldn't want at my house, but I thought of a roller coaster. So I guess that means I just want to have fun.
Absolutely.
um,
Absolutely. So what's a, aside from a roller coaster, like what says fun to you that you could like have in your home or near your home? That's just like, wow, I can't believe I own this.
okay, well, it would probably be a personal race track.
Oh my
There
God,
we
I was
go.
racetrack. I'm sorry. That makes me ecstatic because I know we're
Love
racing
it.
one day.
Yeah, it would probably be that and a lot of fast cars. I think ever since I was little, actually, at our old house, Dad, our yellow house, it was a really long driveway. I was probably 5 or 6 at this time. I really didn't even know cars. Um, but it was always my goal just to have the entire driveway just lined with a bunch of sports cars. So I guess this makes sense also just to have a racetrack somewhere on my property and just a whole garage full of sports cars. That would be cool.
Fantastic. So I want you to see yourself there. You're at this racetrack, okay? You just won a race. Okay? And you come out and you got your friends and your family there and they're cheering for you and they're, giving you high fives. And I just want you to feel that feeling for a moment of victory.
I feel it. Well,
Fantastic.
the first thing I actually thought though is if Dad's over and we're racing, I probably won't beat him. But
Well,
I
this time you did somehow.
Now, is that a good thing or a bad thing?
I don't know.
I know even in my dreams I'm not beating you, but that's okay. But it feels good. It's just fun. It's fun. Everyone's smiling.
That's great. Okay, so you can open your eyes.
Okay.
How was that?
It was fun.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. I'm actually almost kind of a little jealous.
It's kind of sad because I opened my eyes. I have no racetrack.
Well, I'll tell you what, Joe, if you go to my website, there's a free walkthrough of this guided meditation. So you can download it and do it yourself if you want to.
I'm curious. We're going to have to do that.
So
though.
maybe what I'll do is I'll record it on Zoom and I'll just send you the clip.
Perfect. Perfect. I would love that.
Curious. I feel like I wonder if ours would compare at all. I mean, there's got to be water in his. He
Yeah.
likes
So
water.
I can tell you right now, I was kind of doing it, but my eyes were open.
All right. Well, close your eyes. Close your eyes. We're going to do it then. We're going to do it right now. Let's do this.
Okay. All right.
I got time. I don't know about you. All right.
We have time.
So I'm going to wave my magic wand here and poof, you are now in your perfect ideal world. What's the first thing you see?
The ocean.
Mm. Okay, so now as soon as you say the ocean, I can smell it, I can hear it, I could hear those waves crashing. Do you hear anything else in the space?
So I hear seagulls.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I really don't hear much other than just actually almost like pure quiet, like the Keys. Like I don't know if you've ever been to Florida Keys, but it's
Oh
like
yeah.
it's just quiet. It's not even waves. It's like water lapping
Yeah.
on, on the shore, the birds, um, just very peaceful and tranquil.
My family loves to go to Anna Maria Island. So I totally know what you're talking about with the white sand and everything. So pretty. So what color is that water?
It's like turquoise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you feel the sand under your feet?
It's actually funny you say that because now where I'm at, I'm pissed off that it's the limestone that's in the Keys. That it does not feel good when you walk on it, but that's what I'm feeling right now. Yeah.
Yeah. So what I want you to do is, so you're on the beach here, and I want you to turn and look away from the ocean and tell me what you see.
So I see like banana trees.
Hmm.
Um, Actually, it's weird. This is very weird. So I don't even know what this
Weird, isn't
plant
it?
is called, but it has like it's like blue. It's like a bluish green. Almost kind of looks like a kind of like a yucca tree almost. It almost looks like a succulent like cactus. I don't know why it's in my mind, but that's what's there. Um, and I see a white house with like a terracotta roof
Hmm.
on it in the distance, or like right behind me.
All right. So why don't you head back to that house? Okay. Just take a nice leisurely walk over there, and you can see more of these interesting trees around, another beautiful flora on your path. And then I want you to step inside and just tell me what it's like in there.
So it's all windows.
Hmm.
Like when you step inside, it's all windows. And inside, it's like a almost like a really cold or cool like marble um, flooring. Everything's clean lines.
Hmm.
Uh,
Can you
there's
smell anything in there?
Probably doesn't smell like the mahogany teak wood.
get out of my head. Honestly, it still smells like the ocean to me.
Mhm.
So
Beautiful. So, what's your favorite room in this house?
the great room.
Okay, walk in there. Is there a chair that you really like to sit in?
There is now. I literally feel like I just poof one just popped up there.
Hmm.
Uh, yeah, a recliner, but it's a recliner that accommodates my long legs. So it's not a normal recliner. It's like a custom built recliner.
Beautiful. What color is it?
It's well, that's kind of weird actually. So it was gray at first, and then I changed it to brown. And I think it's only because my current recliner is brown. So we're gonna go with gray.
Gray.
So
Okay. Yeah. So I want you to lie down in your recliner and just take a moment to feel that incredible feeling of peace and satisfaction and just contentment. And I want you to remember something that you did recently that really gave you a feeling of meaning and purpose, like you're really living your passion. What was it that happened?
this is in my moment down there, right? Not current moment.
Absolutely.
So and this is what popped in, but I wanted to clarify. So I was actually just out on my boat.
Mm-hmm.
I was out by like a lighthouse and just looking back. on the shoreline, just from the boat, and just feeling happy that I could do that and not only be able to see the ocean from land, but have the opportunity to see the land from the ocean.
Absolutely. Was there anyone with you on the boat or was it just you?
No, I'm just by myself.
Just by yourself. Julia's shaking her head. I love it. That's great. So again, I want you to look back into your memory and just think, what was it that had to happen for this moment to be possible? What was the thing that happened just before this that made this possible?
So now this is hard for me to be in a meditative state because I already feel like I know what would have to be possible to make that possible. But likely the sale of my business or the passing down of my business.
All right. So you can open your eyes now. So what I want to recommend to both of you, okay, is that you're going to create a little slideshow of images that remind you of pieces of what you just saw. Now, they don't have to be an exact match, but just try to find something that brings you back to that emotional state when you look at it. And then you can have a soundtrack over top of it. I really like to use music because I know music is really important to you guys too. So find a piece of music that just really puts you in that frame of mind of this ideal world that you created. And it doesn't have to be very long. Mine's like 30 seconds long. But if you just take a moment in the morning to play that little slideshow, look at those images, feel those feelings, listen to that music, it really sets you up for the whole day in terms of manifesting what you really care about and what you really want in your life.
All right.
That's my recommendation to you. Take or leave as you please.
Listen, I'm going to do it. I want that racetrack in my yard.
There we go. That's what I'm talking about.
Awesome.
All right. Thank you so much for being here. Where can the folks at home find you?
So, so our podcast is automatingsuccessshow.com. If you key that in, and it's weird because it's like automating success show. So it's like, there's like 3 S's.
Right.
.com. And then our website for the robotic company is automatedoutdoor.com. We have an e-commerce site there, and it explains what we're doing with our carbon footprint reduction. Our website for the landscape company is langtongroup.com, and then the snow removal company is tied into that same website. Yeah, that's it.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here, you guys. This has been great.
Yeah, this was an enlightening experience. So.